It is the duty of the free man to resist tyranny at every turn. Every man will either watch his freedom stripped away or take action to protect what he loves. Introducing the A3, the newest revolutionary body armor from Armored Republic. The A3 is the new standard for lightweight multi-hit body armor. A3 plates are incredibly light at 4.6 pounds. The patented design captures fragmentation while remaining multi-hit capable. The A3 will stop up to M80 ball, yet comes in at only 0.7 inches thick. The A3 is the thinnest NIJ .06 compliant or certified composite standalone plate that includes the drop test. The A3 is the first of its kind, patent pending, that combines an alloy strike face with polyethylene backing, revolutionizing body armor technology by providing strength and durability while remaining sleek and maneuverable. The A3 is the new standard in lightweight body armor. The fight against tyranny just got stronger.
Hey y'all, welcome to CrossPolitic on the Fight Laugh Feast Network. Pastor Toby Chuck Knox, I'm the water boy, and we're here with our boy Nick Solheim.
Okay.
Stick around because you're going to learn a lot about DC politics in this show.
Oh boy.
Yeah, there's a lot going on.
So you might need some soap and water and a shower.
And we're 3 days away from Cinco de Mayo, American holiday.
Nick, we apologize. Our friends over at redballoon.work are hosting an exclusive training featuring Red Balloon CEO Andrew Krapischutz and Dr. Steve Turley this Thursday. May the 4th be with you. Who wrote this? Who wrote this? Stop this. At noon Pacific time or 3 p.m. Eastern time. So they're crack the code to building a woke-free workplace without costing you tens of thousands of dollars and endless legal headaches. Dr. Steve Turley and Red Balloon CEO Andrew Krapischutz will unveil the secrets to protecting you against woke craziness, invading your workplace by finding and keeping employees who perfectly fit your company culture. And we should probably do this.
I was going to say, like, when is this again?
Yeah,
I mean, sign up Knox to do this because he's part of our problem.
Yeah. You know me, super woke.
You need HR training. You need HR training.
I do actually.
Many of our listeners who own businesses say they can't find reliable talent. That's like me and Knox. We're trying to find somebody to sit on that side of the table.
A third wheel.
Yeah.
That's why you're really here, Nick.
You're a test run.
Because job seekers often bring with them a toxic virtue signaling mindset. Exactly. That's what I'm talking about. It infects the entire workplace culture. That's why redballoon.work has arranged for our listeners to attend a first-of-its-kind training on how to defeat woke culture in hiring and find values-aligned talent in this brutal labor market. Normally, this high-level training costs about $600, but CrossPolitic listeners get in free.
Yeah.
What?
Ching-ching.
We worked on that.
What? Wow. Visit redballoon.work/cross. That's redballoon.work/cross. So you can sign up for this training for free with Dr. Steve Turley.
When is it
Andrew
again?
Krapischutz. It's like on I wouldn't say Thursday.
May the 4th be with you.
Yeah, May the 4th be with you.
Okay, that's
They said that so you wouldn't forget.
Yeah.
yes.
That's on
May 4th.
Yeah, it's Star Wars Day.
It's noon Pacific time, 3 p.m. EST.
May 13th in Nashville. Jason Farley, myself, David Fowler, and Dr. George Grant will be at George Grant's church.
Yeah.
The world ends when the metaphor dies. A reforming and reshaping of cosmology.
The world what?
The world ends when the metaphor dies. Yeah, you have to come to the event to.
Did I get an invitation?
You're welcome to come.
It's in Tennessee, though.
I just got an invitation right now.
Right.
May
On the
13th,
show.
and they can sign up at fightlaughfeast.com
Yes.
under events, and then
That's right.
smash the hamburger events.
Yeah, do it. Yeah, you know the little 3-line
hamburger
thing. He calls
menu.
it. See, you do that too?
Yeah, I mean, he's old, so.
Oh.
We're the same age.
Oh,
You're all old, yeah.
I just want you to know that's a pastor, and you just got 3 strikes right there. You're gonna lose some sort
Like
of
3
like.
hamburger strikes.
Your
I
mansion
don't
just
know.
like lost a room in heaven. I
have
just
no
want you to
idea
know
what we're talking about. But we have with us right now in the studio the one and only Nick Solheim. He serves as the Chief Operations Officer of American Moment and co-host of Moment of Truth. Nick currently resides in West Virginia with his wife Evie,
Who's in the studio?
and daughter Margot. Hey,
We're
shout
both in the
out.
studio.
Shout
They're
out
both in the
to
studio.
the lovely
Yep,
ladies, and is an avid explorer, functional fitness enjoyer.
I don't even know what that means.
What is a functional
I don't
fitness
know.
enjoyer?
I don't know.
And a book enthusiast. Nick, thanks for coming on CrossPolitic.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, coming all this way.
What books are you reading right now? Book enthusiast.
Let's see. What is it? What is it that I was reading on the way? Oh, I'm reading a book by Elbridge Colby, who was on the National Security Council under Trump, and it's basically a book about his national security strategy and how to combat China. So,
Interesting.
No, it's not. What's a functional fitness enjoyer?
yeah. So
We're just gonna tear apart your bio, and this whole interview is about your bio.
yeah. So functional fitness is, you see a lot of these guys like using barbells and that sort of thing. If you're poor like me and you can only afford dumbbells,
You strap on pigs and like walk down.
Yeah. So I mean, basically,
You need to carry pigs.
I have a neighbor, fellow churchman, and we built a very ratchet home gym in my garage. It's basically just dumbbells, an incline bench, and a pull-up bar.
Yeah.
And so we meet up at 5 a.m. every morning in the wilds of West Virginia.
Yeah.
And get the pump on.
Okay.
So,
Do you play John Denver while you do it?
West Virginia.
we've been known to do that every once in a while.
me home.
We actually play a lot of Alex Jones in the morning while we're working out. It's all the yelling,
Yeah, right. It really,
Really gets people
really
going.
motivates you.
Yeah,
So,
it's
Nick,
like-
what's
Wait. I
It's
just
like
want to
talk
know.
show heavy metal.
I
is
just
what
want to
that
know
is.
if the baby's baptized. That's all I think I was asking.
Yeah.
Okay. Now we can move on.
All right.
All right, Margot is.
All right. Just
Very
making
good.
sure. I just want
All
to
right,
check.
let's get into the show now.
Okay. All right. Nick, tell us about American Moment. What is it? Why does it matter?
Yeah, so American Moment is an organization that identifies, educates, and credentials young Americans who will implement public policy that supports strong families, a sovereign nation, and prosperity for all. I understand that's a lot of DC speak, so I will translate it
I
for
just
you.
heard Christian nationalism. That's all I heard.
So basically what we're doing is we are building the personnel pipeline for the next presidential administration. One of the things we've seen, I think, that stymied the conservative movement, particularly since 2016, was a lack of, credentialed staff, people who had competence in government that also believed in policies that aligned with the average conservative voter. This was something that Trump experienced, continually had issues with personnel because there was nobody really in D.C. that believed in the sorts of things that he campaigned on and millions of Americans voted for. And so we are aiming to solve that problem.
Okay. So what do you do like day to day? What does that look like?
Man, every day is different. We do a lot of programming in DC, specifically focused on, we call it like internally, training the shock troops for the next administration.
Okay.
So our flagship program is the Fellowship for American Statecraft. It's a summer program that'll be starting here in a few weeks. It's most internships in DC are unpaid. So I had an internship offer when I was in college. I had to go intern for Congressman Tom Emmer from Minnesota, and I couldn't go because it was unpaid, and I couldn't afford. I'm a normal guy with normal parents. Like I couldn't afford to go live in DC. Right. So we do a paid fellowship program. We pay $3,000 a month as a W-2 employee. Most people do this thing where they like want to pay as an independent contractor and then you get screwed on taxes at the end of the year. We pay them as W-2 employees. We give retirement benefits and all that. And then we place them at allied organizations and Hill offices. And they are with those destinations 4 days a week. And then they spend all day Friday with us getting training on House and Senate procedure. What are some policies that we need in the conservative movement? What's the game plan for the next administration? That sort of thing. With the goal that by the end of the summer, they will all have, or a majority of them will have jobs in Washington that they will stay on. And I am proud to say we have, for the first time, 2 NSA students that will be one graduate and one upperclassman that will be joining us in DC this summer.
How many is it a fellowship that we called it?
Yep.
How many fellows do you have in this fellowship?
And how can CrossPolitic get one of those fellows?
Yeah. Well, you'd have to spend
need
$1
a
million
producer.
on real estate in DC.
Oh.
No.
Ship them to Moscow.
We got that.
So we did our first year in 2021. We did 10.
Yep.
And then last year we did 12, and this year we're going to have 20.
Wow.
We'll have 20 fellows. It's an expensive program.
Wait, so
Yes.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah.
I don't want to interrupt you.
Yeah, so that's just one of many programs we do. We have another program called Foundations of American Statecraft, which is a credentialing program for people that are maybe in entry-level positions in Congress. So we're doing one. The application is just closed for it, but it's a 10-week-long certification program on foreign policy. So, what is the history of American foreign policy? What do we believe about foreign policy? And then what can Congress actually do as it relates to foreign policy?
Can I take that?
Well, the application's just closed, but if you move to
know a
DC
guy.
and you get a job as a Hill staffer.
What do you guys believe about foreign policy?
Yeah, so one of the things I think we appreciated about the President Trump that we haven't seen in Republican politics for a long time is a prioritization of the American national interest. Something that we saw frequently, George W., H.W., was this need to go and spread democracy, spread, American values in these countries all over the world. In some cases for natural resources as well and that sort of thing. But we believe that, our military forces and young men in our military should be only used if absolutely necessary and only in that circumstance to preserve the American national interest, that we can be safe, secure, that we can engage in commerce, and that we can continue to be the greatest country on earth.
Sounds like Ron Paul a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, we're certainly aligned with Ron. We did a conference 2 weeks after the Russian invasion of Ukraine last year called Up From Chaos, Conserving American Security. And we had Ron's son, Senator Rand Paul, was one of our keynotes. We had David Sachs, co-founder of PayPal, Thomas Massey, who I'm sure you guys are familiar with. So this is certainly, we are definitely institutionally not libertarians. This is certainly an area of alignment that we have with libertarians in the conservative movement.
Wow. So then, so those are the two programs. Is there another one?
Yeah, we have several more. I was just giving some examples.
Okay. That was my question. I want to go back to the first one. Let me go back to this. I'm still surprised when you said President Trump, he wins office, he gets in there, but because he doesn't have people who are trained in policy making or trained in how legislation works, he wasn't able to accomplish as much as he wanted. What was it that you guys are replacing or fixing that he really didn't have that you hope, I guess you hope that he has when he wins in 2024?
Yeah, so I think I would say that the two things that you're looking for when you're staffing a presidential administration is you're looking for people who are competent, so they know how to do things. They know how government works. They know how a particular bureaucracy or government department works. They have knowledge on some area of policy or whatever. So that's one part of it. And then the other part that you need is people that are ideologically aligned with your perspective and the people that voted for you. And the problem that we had time and time again in the Trump administration was we had people that were competent but were not aligned with the president and with his voters. So they actively undermined the administration every step of the way. We saw this on foreign policy. We saw it on immigration. And then on the flip side, you had a lot of people that were true believers, good people who were with the president from the beginning, but they had no experience in D.C. So you had a lot of these guys coming into, getting appointments and that sort of thing, running departments, bureaucracies, and they believed the right things, but they had no framework with which to deal with the massive bureaucracy, and they didn't know how to fight it. And so the main thing that we're trying to do is to bring those two things together. You want people that are ideologically aligned with the president's voters. And to be clear, this is not like we hope to stick around. This is not a Trump exclusive thing. We exist to serve the conservative movement. And so we want to train people on ideology and make sure that they're aligned with us on those perspectives. But we also want to train them at how you defeat the administrative state, and in the circumstances where it can't be defeated, how you can use it to benefit our people and our voters.
So then how do you stop people, I guess, training people on ideology? That's interesting when you say that. I wonder what that means.
Okay.
But also, too, as you're doing that, that training has to have some sort of, or you guys have to have some sort of kill switch built in so that you don't become like part of the swamp that you're fighting in.
Totally.
Right?
Totally. Yeah. So we generally the way that we operate, so I'll use our Foundations program, which is our foreign policy credentialing program, 10 weeks long. It's 3 hours a night. And then at the end, we actually test people. We've done this program in the past. We've failed people. But if they pass, they get a cool credential to put on their resume. And then we actually assist them in writing letters to help get promotions and that sort of thing. And when we create the curriculum for this, we actually have a committee that helps us to form the curriculum. So we do a lot of the work in-house, and we primarily, like, by the way, I'm 26. I'm not a foreign policy expert. I didn't serve in the last administration. So we're primarily like bringing in the right people, the people who have the experience, and we work with these experts on our committees to make sure that we don't get too dogmatic about any particular issue or any particular speaker.
So I'd be curious to hear like what you said. We're trying to bring people together, train people who are both ideologically aligned, conservative, understand conservative values and so on, and understand the bureaucracy, know how to combat the bureaucracy, the administrative state, and short of actually bringing it down, work for its slow demise. I mean, I think
100%.
So what is that? Give us some I'm just curious. Like, what are some practical ways in which, particularly, you teach people to work within the administrative state while trying to undermine its power?
Yeah, it's an interesting point. I'm gonna the first one that comes to mind is one that you and I have disagreed about before, but it's really the one that's top of mind for me. I hear this thing all the time about abolishing the Department of Education.
Yes,
I'll use
yes.
this as an example.
Yes.
I am in agreement that this is a good idea in principle.
I mean, I just love the word abolish too.
Yeah, it's a great word. We as conservatives
I like to abolish a lot of things.
Yes, we would like to abolish a lot of things. To be clear, I am not opposed to abolishing the Department of Education. However, we have to talk about and think about the political realities on the ground in Washington. So we'll use President Trump as an example. He did a lot of great things. He never did anything as radical as trying to abolish an entire government department. And look at what they did to him, right? And so if like this is not even necessarily hyperbolic. Like, you go into DC and you start advocating and making serious progress on abolishing a government department with thousands of like lifetime guaranteed jobs and pensions, they'll kill you. They will kill you. They will destroy your life and your career, and they will funnel millions of dollars into destroying you and everything that you believe in and everyone that you care about. And so the best case scenario for us, and keeping in mind that the people that actually believe in abolishing the Department of Education, we are not yet at a point where we have the total raw power and authority to be able to do so. I believe that point will come, but I don't think we're there yet. So what does that look like now? What can we use within the Department of Education and our bureaucracy to help and reward our people as we kind of wait for this day when we're able to abolish it? Well, I'll use this program that we have in West Virginia as an example of something that I would really like to see on a federal level. It's called the Hope Scholarship, and it was instituted by our state treasurer, Riley Moore, who's currently running for Congress in the 2nd Congressional District of West Virginia, which is where I live. And the Hope Scholarship, if you pull your kids out of public school, or if they are eligible, in the coming academic school year, to be in kindergarten, they will give you a voucher for the average cost per pupil in the state of West Virginia to use for alternative education solutions. So that's private school, that's homeschool, different materials and curriculums and that sort of thing. I am opposed, generally speaking, to just like raw handouts, like buying people off. But the particular idea about tying it to the cost per pupil year over year is interesting because it's eventually going to draw that cost down. So this last academic school year, I think it was $6,500 per kid. So if you have a family of 8 kids, like we have many people in our congregation in West Virginia that have like 7 or 8 kids, and they're doing homeschool, that's $6,500 a year, per kid. And if they were going to public school, they're basically being incentivized to pull their kids out of pagan schools and to give them a much better education. As more and more people do that, the cost per pupil will go down because there will be fewer people in schools, you'll need fewer teachers, you'll need fewer administrators, and the eventual goal of this program, effectually would be that, those benefits would be minimal. And then at that point, if you wanted to, because you've diminished its power and authority, you would be able to abolish it at that point. So I'd be interested to see something, and I'm not dogmatically 100% this is the thing that we must do, but it's an interesting idea.
How is that not socialism?
I don't necessarily think that. I mean, I'm not going to ask you, how much you put in, how much you have to pay the federal government every year. No. But it is worth noting that most people in the middle class, generally speaking, put a lot more money into the federal government than they're getting out. And so if you are able to get, and by the way, this is something that it comes through the tax department. So it's something basically that you would get back. You would get a tax refund or that sort of thing. So I view it as, getting the hard-earned money that we put into government, right, getting it back and slowly diminishing the amount. And at that point you can, decrease taxes and that sort of thing.
Yeah. It also seems to me to be a little bit different to be at state level than to be at the federal level. And I'm wondering, to create that at the federal level, isn't that to actually make the Department of Education bigger?
Yeah, I don't necessarily think so. I mean, as you have more and more students, I mean, if you look, actually, this is something that Pastor Wilson talks about all the time. If you look at the amount of homeschoolers in this country and how, as a percentage of people that are receiving an education in our country, that's increasing, you're going to need to spend fewer and fewer dollars on education over time. And so the way that I kind of view it is you can slowly lessen their appropriation until you can abolish them. And again, I'm not talking about this is not something that we're proposing on a federal level and telling everyone that we should do. But my more illustrative point is that we do not have the power or the authority to just by executive fiat or even by congressional legislation to do this. They'll hammer us. And you will not succeed.
No, I'm just curious though about the whole I think it's fine to debate, sort of what's the best way to
unwind this
the government monopoly kind of thing. I guess my question though has more to going back to the beginning, where it's training people to sort of work within the administrative state, but to then try to undermine it. And then I'm curious, what government program has ever been started that included giving people money that went away because it was no longer needed?
Track record's not very good.
So here's the thing. You're not appropriating new money.
Yeah.
You're taking money from public schools and putting it toward private schools. And again, if you, in this particular instance.
But I don't think that changes his point.
Well, I guess I'm wondering though, I get that for the state level. That makes sense. But what about the federal level?
Yeah, are
you arguing that this program go to the federal? I don't know if he's arguing.
He was suggesting something like that.
Yeah, I'm saying it's a.
Now I'm mad.
Gabe, I'm just trying to.
All right.
He's trying to get there.
Yeah. Okay.
Again, I'm not saying that this is 100% the thing that we should do, but I use it as an example to say that there are things that we can do. And you're
talking about short-term incremental steps that long-term could take down the behemoth.
Yes, and that is true. While at the same time, we can use those sorts of things to benefit our people. Yeah. If you think about the people, especially here in Moscow, the people that that are doing homeschool or private school or alternative. I mean, they're. A lot of those people are the backbones of their local communities, and they are really that kind of Protestant work ethic and American spirit is the backbone of our country. Right. And so,
the thing to note though is that I think it's hard to explain to people though is the reason why it's so powerful is because they do it themselves.
Right.
They don't get it sent.
Yeah.
And I think the thing that's dangerous about the voucher program stuff is, do I want to see the government program taken down? Absolutely. Do I feel for the single mom and the kind of people? Yes.
Yeah.
But I think the potency of the homeschool movement of the last 40 years is the fact that millions of families said, you can take our taxes, you can't have our kids.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. Canada, for decades, has been paying their families.
Their homeschool families.
And look at Canada.
Yeah, I mean-
Canada is the great, cautionary tale to education vouchers. They pay for Christian schools, homeschools, Catholic schools. It's all on the government.
And now the Catholic schools are having transgender bathrooms.
Yeah.
They are, however, culturally and historically, I know that they're at this point they seem like culturally to be a colony of ours, but they have a fundamentally like different culture about this
serve the
stuff.
queen.
I mean, they're the king,
It's a
the
king.
king now.
I don't know.
Well-
I don't know. I mean, like,
Give it a minute.
Yeah,
We don't know how he identifies yet.
Yeah. You were about to ask something though. I didn't want.
Well, no, I'm interested to see kind of what sort of family policies are you guys wanting to implement in this?
Yeah. So I think there's been a lot of things that have gone wrong with marriage and the family, the household, from a public policy level for the past several decades. And a lot of them are things that I've heard many people in Moscow talk about. No-fault divorce is obviously a no-brainer, instituted by conservative hero Ronald Reagan, by the way, in
he wasn't really
California.
conservative
Who
Ronald Reagan.
later said he was wrong.
then. Yeah.
No-fault divorce, abortion on demand, birth control on demand. I mean, all of these things have been very, very bad for our country. And as I think about, particular things that we could do beyond, obviously there is a role for the church and for, tastemakers and culture to do. That's where the bulk of this work has to be done. Like I'm not. Discounting that at all. But as someone who's working on public policy in DC, we're kind of casting about for what are some examples of countries that have been doing this well. There are plenty of countries on the planet who recognize that they're about to go off a demographic cliff, and we are just shortly behind them.
Right.
You mean almost every country?
Yeah. But particularly like in the West and people with modern economies. So like the ones that and some of them too coming out of like godless, communist states. So you look at like Hungary as an example. They're a country that is currently trying to reverse their demographic decline by incentivizing marriage and birth. I went to this interesting thing at the Hungarian embassy a couple years ago, and they were kind of talking about, they were starting to roll out Viktor Orban, who is the prime minister. They were starting to roll out some of these family policies. This was like, it's probably 2018, pre-COVID. And they were talking about a lot of these things that I thought was super interesting. It was something like if you had, 3 kids or more, I think replacement level, fertility rate is, I think it's like 2.1 or something like that. And they're at like 1.7 or 1.8 or something like that. So their population is gradually getting older and they're not, having enough people to support their economy. So something that they were doing was like, they're like, hey, if you have 3 or more kids, no taxes till the last one turns 18. That's okay. I think that's interesting. What about more than that? So they had another one. I think it was like 6 or 7 kids. Never pay taxes again. Never. Like you never have to pay taxes again. Very interesting.
I reached that status.
So
Stop it.
and
Knox is in.
He's bragging.
Yep.
and so those are things I think that that policy in particular is something that I think wholly possible within the conservative movement. We're all about cutting taxes and supporting families. I think it's a no-brainer. There are some other things that Hungary's done that are a little more out there that I'm not really sure would work here. Like they have, if you have more kids than can feasibly fit in like a mid-sized sedan, they'll give you like a 0 interest loan to buy like a minivan or
Can I push back on this just a little bit?
Go for it.
I like the intent that you have here.
Yeah.
But it scares me a little bit, mainly because I've watched the welfare movement come in and wreak havoc with that kind of reality.
Cutting taxes scares you?
No. The reality that, hey, if you have kids and we'll pay you, and then, now all of a sudden, have you ever heard the rat story?
The rat story?
Yeah, we'll pay you if you grab rats.
No.
And so
I have no idea
there
what
was
you're
there
talking
was
New York. This is in New York.
This is New York.
Yeah,
So
New York
they
City.
would pay people because they had a rat problem.
Yeah.
Massive rat
And so
problem.
they would pay these kids and whoever, hunters would go grab rat tails and bring them rat tails. What people started to do was breed
'em.
rats
Yeah.
In their apartments.
in their apartments.
But there is a difference between not being required to pay taxes
Yeah.
and
being
getting
paid.
and getting paid.
Yeah.
No, but I get that. But then,
And
but
children are not rats.
But what happens is, no, they're a blessing. They could be a blessing. But what happens
Or
over
a
people are
rat.
saying, hey, you know what? I'll go have 7 kids with no husband, and now I don't have to pay taxes no more.
Yeah, but
Or a man who's like, hey, I got 7 kids, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, there's no the incentive there seems to be a little misplaced. I like the fact of no paying taxes, right? That's great. Who doesn't want that? But the way that the government starts setting up incentives, when they start getting outside of their zone, it becomes scary on how people start.
But isn't there just a difference between not paying taxes and getting paid?
Sure,
Yes.
but
a big difference, I would argue.
but do you think
incentives matter.
the incentive is still there, right?
Yeah, I mean, welfare queens are already a thing. Like that already exists. And
kings.
And the incentive is, I believe, stronger because they're being paid. I mean, I know a lot of people that.
I guess the question would be, well, if the incentive matters, why not just say, why don't we just not charge people as much taxes, period?
I mean, I'm generally in favor.
You know what I mean?
I'm thinking about my tax bill right now. That was what the big sigh was for. I was like,
You know what I mean? But
I'm 100% agreed. But why not both? Why not both? Why
well, if you
can
do
we
one,
not?
you get the other. You don't have to worry about that one.
But it's still, I mean, even if we were able to magically balance our books over the next 10 years, there is still such a massive. We're spending so much.
Okay.
So just literally an ungodly amount of money in our federal government, and that absolutely needs to be shut down. But the kind of decrease in taxation that is actually possible. You have a lot of these people talking about like, we need to go down to a 15% flat tax. It's going to take like 100 years.
So
like it's going to take a long time.
Here's my big, I think, concern in this kind of broader discussion. I know you had JD Vance on your show a little bit
here we
ago
go.
to talk about. We're not going to play the clip. We don't have time for that. But
Okay.
I think conservatives are on their heels. They don't have the administration. They don't have the Senate. We barely have the House. And so I think the temptation is to come up with policies that sound reasonable but not biblical. And then in addition to that, like if Trump would have ended the Department of Education, and you mentioned like how he would have been threatened and all this stuff, and sure, I mean I think that's possible, but I mean if I was president and I went and shut down the Department of Education and someone came to threaten me, I'm like, well, you just don't know me.
No,
I'm here to serve. I'm here to serve God. I'm here to serve my people. I'm here to serve the truth, and this is good and right. Now this is. I think there's a discussion to be had about something that's strategic, feasible, and wise. I think that's important part of this conversation. But I'm in this silly little court case here in Moscow, and some of the threats that have come, and even in negotiations and settlements, been really dumb. I can't go into detail right now, but even my lawyer brings them up, and I'm like, I think you're talking to a guy who you don't know who you're talking to. Like none of those threats matter in this fight, and so I think you couple the desire to find a reasonable policy that you can get a lot of people on board with. Mm-hmm. That's not biblical, and that in the long run would actually potentially cause more harm than what the good it might solve in that immediate situation, short-term situation. And then you couple that with all these strings that people try to place on politicians, and all these levers that are tried to place in that moment. And I'm like, we need to shed all that. Mm-hmm. We're free in Christ. We're free people. And if I made this decision or this move, let's say go back to the Department of Education, to kill the Department of Education, and then I get killed for it, it's like, well, so be it. I mean, I'm here serving Jesus,
right. But the question is, were you successful, right? Like would you actually be able to do it? So like using the example of your court case and this terrible thing that you're prosecuting for, which I been following you.
Yeah.
For a long time, and am obviously very, very outraged about. You still have a responsibility to, be wise about that, and thinking about how you can ultimately prevail over these people that are oppressing you.
Yeah.
And reasonably, what I am arguing for is that we do that such thing, that we
But my
that we do the
calculation-
thing that will help
Right.
us to win.
And I agree. I want to win, but not to go in too much detail here, but they think it's all about the money,
Yeah.
and so
You make different calculations.
That's
when
all
you
the
think
calculation
something-
they think this is about, and it absolutely is not about that.
No, it's about your
And
freedom.
I'm driving my lawyer crazy in negotiations because he thinks it's all about the money.
Well, and I think though,
But that's what this is. But this is how like conservatives think. They think it's all about getting in power and getting the vote, and it's all about the money. It's like, no, my calculations of what victory looks like are way different in this political game.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so to be able to come up with school vouchers, I think I was sympathetic to it. But the more I think about the school voucher thing, I just think, why use socialism light to fight socialism, heavy or whatever?
Yeah, but I think Nick, and tell me if I'm wrong. I think what I'm getting from you is like you're on board for the principles for the most part, but there is a real strategy in order to get us from here to there in the principle.
100
Am I understanding that properly?
100%. And this is
So we can argue about that all day long.
Yeah,
I don't mind that.
And this is, I mean, we've all read like Burke and like I'm not advocating for anything novel here. These are not new ideas. What I am arguing for is that government has a role. This is the largest reason why we have a lot of disagreements with libertarians. Is government exists and it's going to do something, and we don't have the numbers and we don't have the raw authority yet to be able to undo all that. We're 100% agreed on the end goal. But we need to have a lot of like soul searching about how to get there.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's never been a better time to become a club member across CrossPolitic. I mean, now that Nick, Solheim's been on the show, you want to join. All right? This year, CrossPolitic will be dropping exclusive content into our club portal for club members only. Some of this content will include a pilot TV show called This America.
Oh, that showed up.
It's already
showed up in our
the
portal.
episode already.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Is it in the
there
portal?
now? Is it
It's
there
not in
now?
the portal.
Oh, it's coming though. A Bible study series with Pastor Toby?
That's
A
in there?
special with New St. Andrews President Ben Merkel, our backstage content, our conference talks. Man.
I'm surprised you're surprised about your own.
And we have a
Bible
new
study.
we have a new app launching. Looks like June 1st. So stand by.
You can grab a club membership for just $10 a month. That's 2 cups of coffee if you're into girly coffee. So go ahead, sign up, fightlaughfeast.com. Get signed up today. That's fightlaughfeast.com. Become a club member. Support all this ruckus.
I want to say a couple closing remarks and a question at you and all this. One of the things that I think Christians don't realize is how much opportunity there are in DC to go in and work and help and
100%.
serve and impact, and that's what you're facilitating.
Right.
Yep.
Oftentimes we think, well, if I'm not going to run for president, then I'm not going to get involved in politics, or if I'm not going to be a senator, I'm not going to do anything in DC.
Yeah.
But I think it was really important. We've brought this up on the show before. Joseph back home said, if Christians would just apply
10 minutes.
15 minutes of their time a year to get involved in politics, it would change your local landscape.
Right.
Yep.
And that's a great place for the average person, average family, average high school senior who wants to get involved to start. But there's a lot of opportunity to do this either for a career or for a summer. And those and we should absolutely be trying to figure out how to get involved in that way, and that's why I like what you guys are doing.
What's the web? Give everybody the website.
American Moment?
Yeah. So, I would charge any, young man looking to get involved in politics, whether DC is kind of a long-term plan, 10, 15 years from now, or something that you're looking to dive into this summer. We actually have a special form on our website. It's americanmoment.org/join. And if you fill out that form,
as in like moment in time.
Yep, americanmoment.org/join. And it's just name, email, and phone number, and you'll get a meeting with a member of our team, and we'll start working on how to get you plugged in DC. We help people find places to live, roommates, jobs, internships, all of that. I would love to see more Christian, not only like more Christian young people involved in DC,
100%.
but I'd like to see more gentlemen like you guys coming out and speaking to, our people that currently work in Congress and the conservative movement, it is sorely needed. And to add to what you're saying, about taking 10, 15 minutes a year to to get involved in politics. Tucker Carlson gave a speech at the Heritage 50th anniversary gala.
Yeah.
I think it was a week or two ago. It was
It's a great speech.
Yeah, it was like the Friday before he got fired or whatever. R.I.P. But he said, and he says this as an Episcopalian, so how much more so is it true for us? Pray for your country.
Yeah.
10 minutes a day, 10 minutes a week even. It'll make a difference. I promise it works.
Yeah, that's great.
That's good, Nick.
Hey, thank you for coming on,
Thanks
bro.
for spending time with us, man.
If you're single, get married. If you're married, have you some kids. And if you have kids, go baptize them. Until tomorrow, love God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. Love your neighbor as yourself. Go fight, laugh, and feast. This is CrossPolitic. Hey, do we have Doug on tomorrow? I think it's Doug on tomorrow.
We do.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Mere Christendom.
You don't want to miss tomorrow's show.
What a big act to follow.
Home. It's where you build your legacy, where traditions are started, seeds are planted, meals are shared, and stories are told.
We are Chris and Natalie Carpenter, owners of Story Real Estate, and our team of top agents helps people find homes in Moscow, Idaho, and around the country.
Have you thought about a move? Contact us to get connected with a top agent who shares your values and puts your family first. Or reach out to us about our Moscow relocation guide.
Wherever you're looking to go, we can help you find home. Call us at Story Real Estate or visit us at storyrealestate.com and start building your legacy.
The Word of God is living and active, sharper than any two-edged sword, piercing to the division of soul and of spirit, of joints and marrow. Through the Spirit, God's Word changes lives. It cuts us to the heart and reshapes us. As you strive to read and study Scripture, having a good set of tools can help. From setting reminders for a great reading plan, to word studies and commentaries that shed light on difficult passages, to listening on the go, the Olive Tree Bible app can help you dig into the Word wherever you are. Olive Tree Bible app. Read, study, listen, anywhere.